some structured way of doing things. They are doing it.
I see.
Okay, I'm almost there. Okay. So Hare Krishna Prabhu Dhanvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Jai.
The month of April, the year time is passing so fast. So want to thank you again, repeatedly giving your association guidance and time to help us to progress in the process of bhakti. So you have picked a great topic today, the real meaning of following but not imitating great souls. So please take us from here. I'm sure your class is always very lively and give very beautiful examples that can relate ourselves with the limited capacity that we have. So please take us from here. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you to all of you for engaging me in serving and allowing me to share whatever I have heard, whatever I have read. To all of you, thank you. I appreciate to allowing me to do that. Let me chant the pranam mantras and then we will talk about this topic, real meaning of following and not imitating great souls. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadhati Swapadantika Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padanu Sahagana Shri Lalita Shri Vishakavatam Sya Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwar Vishwabhanu Sute De Pranamami Hari Priya Panchkalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Gunamma Namo Vishnu Padare Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pacharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Pashyata Destanine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this topic is interesting about the real meaning of following the great souls, not imitating them. And there was a discussion, Srila Prabhupada was discussing this topic actually, and he has given many classes. I have 3 or 4 classes here. I went through his lectures and I found them. He always talked about this. And it is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, chapter 3, text 24. And in the translation, the purport is so big on this sloka, but I will just read the translation of this 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, text 24. And some of the points which are mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in mentioning the purport, we will discuss that, and we will also discuss about Srila Prabhupada, what he had to say in the other lectures about this topic, because it is very important topics for us. It is in the Sanskrit, it is called Anukaran and Anusharan. Anukaran means imitating. Just like in the market, your imitation jewelry. Hmm? There is a gold, real gold jewelry, but there is also imitation jewelry also, which is gold plated, isn't it? You find that all the time. So that is anukaran. Imitation is anukaran. But Anusharan means the following the footsteps of the great acharyas, Mahajans. Is following the footsteps, not imitating them. So here in the translation, it says that of this sloka, certainly that heart is still framed, which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill in the eyes and the hairs stand on the head. So the example, easy example is given of this topic is for example, Haridas Thakur, Srila Haridas Thakur. Srila Haridas Thakur was chanting the 300,000 names every day. Now, I mean, sometime during Srila Prabhupada time, couple of devotees, I don't know the name, they went to Mayapur. They came to Mayapur when Srila Prabhupada was there. And one of the devotees going to Srila Prabhupada and saying that, Srila Prabhupada, I want to go to secluded place and I want to chant more than 64 rounds. See? So this was like the imitation of like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is a Namacharya. Haridas Thakur is a personality when the Ramchandra Khan sent a prostitute to entice him. Haridas Thakur was so fixed in the chanting the holy name that instead of she entice him, actually he kind of turned her into devotee. How? Because she came the first night and she wanted to have have kind of not a good behavior with him. She wanted, and he said, I haven't completed my rounds yet today. So please, you have to wait. So she waited for a whole night and he's keep chanting. And she just went home. It happened second night, it happened third night. So like it happened 2-3 nights. And finally, she just by hearing the holy name from this great personality, her heart was purified. See? And her heart was purified, and then she actually became devotee. And he actually initiated her. And he gave the place where he was staying, he gave that small hut, he gave her the place and said, now you stay here, give away all the belongings that you have, stay here, worship the Tulsi Devi and chant Hare Krishna. Now that's Haridas Thakur. We cannot imitate him. If you try to imitate him, then we will be we don't know what will happen to us. This is imitation, you see. But we try to follow in the footsteps, means we try to understand his consciousness and we try our best. We can. We have to see individuals, our individual circumstances, our situation. So, yeah, some can chant. I'm not denying. But the whole point is that we don't want to imitate and jump onto, okay, I'm going to chant so many rounds. Right? And that's why Srila Prabhupada, as you know, during Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj time, 64 rounds was the minimum to chant in their Gaudiya Math. And Srila Prabhupada, so when he came here to the Western countries, said, forget it, they're not going to chant 64 rounds. People are, we are in the in the world where there is a passion and ignorance is very heavy, modes are heavy. So it's not possible. So he said, chant at least 16 rounds minimum. And that also sometimes difficulties are arising to chant qualitatively without offenses. What I mean is, so this is, we don't want to imitate. Now we are the Jivere Swarup for Krishna Nitya Das. right? We are part and parcel of the Lord. Our eternal constitution position is that we are servant of the Lord. That is a constitutional position. Doesn't matter who the living and it all living. But at the present moment, we are trying to be master, right? I am the enjoyer. I'm thinking I'm the enjoyer. I'm the Lord, which we are Prakriti. Krishna is the Purusha. So by performing devotional service, and which is mainly the hearing and chanting, is the basic principle. Perform. And if we perform this hearing and chanting without offenses, then our consciousness change, our heart change. See? So change in the heart is the preliminary symptoms of bhava. There are different stages, right? There is ado shraddha tatha sadhu sangha bhajan kriya anad nivritischa, right? Then the ruchi, nishtha, asakti, and bhava is the highest stage. You see? So to come to the bhava stage, we have to go through all this scientific process of those. First of all, we have to go through the anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti is a big step, big hump. To go from anartha nivritti to nishtha is a long, is a very high, very steep, very high. When you go on the mountain, let's say. To go from the anartha nivritti to the nishtha, and then ruchi, and then asakti, and then bhava. And in this sloka of the bhava, symptoms of the bhava are mentioned in this second canto, third chapter, which we'll talk about. See? So that's very high stage. And then come to the prema, which is the loving relationship with the Lord. And in that prema stage is actually, you are not, what is the prema between, what is prema? Prema means to satisfy, love. Love means to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's real love. In the material world, there is no love, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. In material world is the lust, because everybody is trying to satisfy their own senses. But the prema is where you are satisfying the Supreme Personality. Everything you do is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And that's what the examples are, the gopis. That's why Lord Chaitanya said, Gopir Bhartu Padakamalar Dasa Dasam, following the footsteps of gopis. Servant, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of some gopis. See? So the symptoms, by performing, by following the footsteps of the Mahajans. Who are the Mahajan? That is Srila Prabhupada is quoting here he was giving the lecture in Vrindavan in November 19, 1976. And he was talking about from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, text 32. And this is the fifth chapter is about Lord Rishabhdev. Lord Rishabhdev is the incarnation of the Lord. He's Lord. He is the son of a king. He is appearing as a son of a king, Nabhi. And his whole three, four chapters are there in the 5th canto about Lord Rishabhdev. And finally, Lord Rishabhdev is renouncing by mystic yoga, and people were not happy with him. So he's accepting the Ajgar Vritti. Ajgar Vritti means he sit down at one place, like the python. The python does not go around to find a food. Python just sits there and food comes. See? So similarly, this Rishabhdev, he's the Lord, understand? He's not an ordinary personality. This Rishabhdev, he had accepted Ajgar Vritti. and he is also one of the Mahajan. Srila Prabhupada said he is his Lord, but Srila Prabhupada also put him as a Mahajan also. Who are the Mahajan? Mahajana. Jana means the living entity, Mahajan means great. Persons who is a great personality or Mahajan. So we always, Srila Prabhupada always quoted, Mahajana yena gatasa pantha, following the footsteps of the Mahajan, not imitating them. And who are the 12 Mahajans we have in a Mahajan we have? That is Swayambhu, Narada, Sambhu, Kumar, Kapilo, Manuhu, Prahlado, Janako, Bhishmo, Balir, Vaya, Sakhir, Vayam. These are the 12 Mahajans. Swayambhu, Manu, Narad, Lord Shiva, Janak Rishi, Janak Dev, Lord Janak, King Janak, Prahlad Maharaj, Bhishma Dev, Narada, Manu, Kapil, 4 Kumaras, Kapil Muni, Bali Maharaj, then Vyasdev, and Sukdev Goswami also, I think. So these are the Mahajans. So we follow. They have laid us they have laid the path, and we just follow that path. Follow that. That is the Mahajan. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting here in this lecture. He said, we cannot follow the Rishabdev, Ajgar Vritti. We cannot do that. It's not possible for us to follow like Lord Rishabdev, the Ajgar Vritti, sit down at one place. It's not possible. So and then he says that or we cannot imitate Haridas Thakur. We cannot imitate them. You see, he said that this Kali Yuga, we are in the Kali Yuga where Manda Sumanda Matayor Manda Bhagya Upavritaha. Our intelligence is so manda. It is. We have bad habits. Our intelligence is not powerful. See? We are lazy. Kali Yuga people. See? So this is not possible. So Lord Chaitanya, same Rishabdev has come as Lord Chaitanya has given us the simple process of chanting the holy name. So he said, Srila Prabhupada says that in that in that lecture, he said, Anukaran is not good. Anukaran means false imitation. That is called Anukaran. And Anusaran means follow. Try to follow as far as possible. Srila Prabhupada is making point. We cannot become overnight. We cannot overnight we become to be, overnight we cannot become the great personality. We follow in the footsteps. And is by the Krishna's mercy, by the Lord's mercy, if he meant to be something to do good, then it's in Lord's mercy. So in the Kali Yuga, he said that the easy process is the chanting the holy name. Kalaya dosunide rajan asti ek mahan guna kirtana deva Krishna mukta sangha param. So this is very important because and then he gives he says that that the people who try to imitate people who try to imitate, then they cannot even they cannot even control their senses. See, on the side they are addicted to the smoking and drinking. They illegitimate sex. See, this is they do on the side, and what they do, they show the symptoms of as they are real devotees. And what they do, they show there are 8 symptoms of the bhava. Here is mentioned in the purport that what are the symptoms of the bhava stage. Symptoms of the bhava stage is the is the perspiration, standing of our hairs, then failing in the voice, trembling, tears in the eyes, trance, see, paleness of the body. These are the symptoms of the bhava. Person who is on the bhava stage, these are the symptoms. So sometimes the piece of people, devotees who are imitating, they call prakriti sahajyas. Persons who are imitating, sometimes you see there, they show the symptoms. They show these symptoms, and we think that they are great personality. But then when you see their real life, then real life they are not, because they are doing, they are not actually following. And real life they are smoking and drinking and illegitimate sex affairs with opposite sex. Then Srila Prabhupada gives the lecture. Another lecture he gives about it in Los Angeles. And this is, he's talking on the Srimad Bhagavatam 6th canto, 1st chapter, text 45. And in that he says that Krishna says Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. And Krishna says that I am the Supreme Lord. Mata Parantaram Nanyat Kinchindasi Dhananjaya. Everything is strung on the thread. Right? Krishna says. So I am that thread. Right? But the Mayavadis, they think I am also Krishna. I can also speak. So Mayavadi, then Srila Prabhupada gave an example, just like we chant the Jai Radha Madhava song, right? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. So when it comes to Gopi Jana Vallabha, they are the imitating devotees accept. Oh yeah, Gopi Jana, I am the lover of the gopis. See? Means they perform a rasa dance with other ladies. See? But then a Gopi Jana Girivardhari. But when you tell them to hold the Govardhan hill, if you are really a Gopi Jana Vallabha, if you are really a lover of the gopis, if you are really a Krishna, then why don't you Girivardhari, why don't you hold the Govardhan? Which they cannot do. See? So this is what when Brajvasis were in trouble, right? We know the pastimes of the Govardhan Lila, right? All the prasadam was prepared. They were preparing to offer to Lord Indra, and Krishna stopped the Brajvasis that please, this is no, you don't have to pay, you don't have to offer everything to Krishna, to offer to Indra. You can offer to the Govardhan, right? So they offered everything to Govardhan, and big Ankud festival took place. And Indra was so angry that Indra started to send this, Samartaka, the cloud and the heavy rain, right? So what Vrajbas is, they poured, Krishna poured, Lord Indra poured so much heavy rain in the Braj, right? And then of course the Brajbasi knew who? They only knew Krishna. Any trouble came, anything, they only go to Krishna. So they call out to Krishna that, please, Krishna, you do something. Krishna, do something. And immediately Krishna said, no problem. And he held the Govardhan like an umbrella, holding an umbrella, like a mushroom. When we see sometimes mushroom, right? So he holding the Govardhan with his left hand finger. last finger is holding the Govardhan, like a holding the umbrella, which is the other the imitating the followers, they cannot do that. So this is what the point is, that we don't want to imitate, we want to follow in the footsteps. Following the footsteps means the following the instructions given by the previous acharyas, instructions given by the following the disciplic successions instructions. And when we follow those instructions, then gradually we can uplift ourselves by the mercy of the previous acharyas, mercy of the Mahajans, mercy of mercy of the Lord. We can uplift ourselves and go up. And those symptoms naturally comes automatically. So now there is what are the in that purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about the different symptoms of this different. What are those? How can we devotee display? Who can display real and steady bhava displayed in a devotee? Who has what are there? He is mentioning around six different things he's mentioning. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning. He's mentioning the six. He did that real steady bhav displayed in a devotee who has what? First of all, he has no material desires. Devotee who is on the steady bhava stage, he has no material desires. We are filled with material desires, but no material desire at all. See. Second symptom he's mentioning as utilizing every moment in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Means everything, 24 hours. 24 hours always thinking of the Lord. Right? So this is second symptom he is mentioning. Srila Prabhupada mentioning. Third symptom is mentioning is the eagerness for glorifying the Lord constantly. Means Krishna Katha all the time. Thinking of the Lord, glorifying the Lord. See, Krishna Katha. And as we know, the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, right? Name, holy name, chanting the holy name without offenses. What will happen? It will bring us to it will reveal us the Nama, Rupa, form of the Lord. For the Lord will reveal his form. Then the next one will be, he will reveal the guna, qualities. Lord will reveal to us guna. And then one is lila, pastimes. Lord reveals to us these pastimes. See. And the devotee will be relishing the transcendental pleasure. This is most important, because we are in the material world, are trying to relish in the pleasure, right? But there is no real pleasure. Transcendental pleasure is completely different than the pleasure we trying to relish in the material world. It's completely different. Transcendental pleasure is which is eternal. It is on the highest platform, on the platform of the soul. We are trying to get the transcendental. We are trying to get a pleasure in the material world on the basis of our senses and the mind, and that is because of the ego, false ego. I am this body, so my body need to be satisfied. Means my senses need to be satisfied. My mind need to be satisfied. because I'm thinking, I'm considering I'm this body. So, but this is, we are talking the transcendental pleasure. Then he's mentioning about attraction for living in the land of the Lord. Of course, that's not difficult. Prakriti Sahajas, many places in the in the Indian holy places, sometimes you find these Sahajas. So, but that is not the real. That is the, unfortunately, that's not real. Wow. Then he says the complete happiness from material, complete happiness. He says, what it says here, complete detachment from material happiness. Detachment. Now, when we talk about detachment, means there has to be attachment. Attachment is always there. But attachment to Krishna, attachment to Krishna's devotees, and detachment from the material happiness. There is no material happiness anyhow. And the last one is the pridelessness. No pride. And this is what is bothers. So unfortunately, people are, I mean, people, what I'm saying is people are looking for love. People are looking for love. It is mentioned in the 11th canto. Last time when I gave a class, we talked about Pingala prostitute. She was making the money by by selling herself, her body practically. Right? She was making money like that. And one night, one evening, she's waiting, nicely dressed up and makeup, everything. She's waiting and goes inside the house, come out, walking around, walking back and forth, and go outside the house, look for with a desire that some man will come and I will enjoy. And every man is passing by, her mind is keep thinking, meditating on, oh, that this man, the man who is passing by her house, she's thinking that she's thinking that, oh, he is a rich man, he will come. And this is going on for a whole evening. Nobody comes. Finally, Krishna with his sees Krishna within the heart gives intelligence, and she realizes what I'm doing is I'm just wasting my time. I'm looking for the pleasure in the other living entity. Now she was, of course, it was on the, this was her maintenance. She was maintaining that way. But the point was that ultimately everybody is looking for not everybody's looking for the long-term relationship. Means ultimately everybody's looking for love. It is looking for love, ultimately. But the unfortunately, that love, she realized that this love which is within my heart is all, the person whom I'm supposed to love is already within my heart. I'm supposed to love him. But I'm trying to find the love in the people outside in the world. She realized that. And this is what happens in the material world. And people who are intelligent, people who are good birth, people who are good looking, people who has good education, then, and people who are rich or whatever, then it comes in the way, as Queen Kunti prays in prayers to, in her teachings of Queen Kunti. She says in the eighth chapter of the first canto, that these things are actually obstacles, sometimes obstacles on the path of the devotional service. Good education, good birth, intelligence, money, all this sometimes, because it increases our pride. But in the here bhava stage, pridelessness means there is no pride. In the bhava stage, person who is a devotee who is on the higher platform, but he doesn't think himself to be higher. He doesn't think that I am a great devotee. He thinks I'm just a ordinary living entity. I'm just trying to follow the footsteps of the previous acharyas. See. So these are the symptoms of the displayed for real steady bhava displayed by devotees. These are the symptoms. These are displayed by the devotee. But prakriti sahaja is persons who are imitating, they cannot do it. They cannot do it. They cannot follow. And what they do, they pass their time they display this, having the ras dance with the imitating like the Krishna. But then they have they on side they are having smoking and drinking. And this was happening during Srila Prabhupada time, not even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Babaji. Many Babajis, they were in the Radha Kund, other places, and we find. I'm not here to criticize anybody, but sometimes we find, unfortunately, these Babajis who seem to be having just wearing the loin cloth and running, there, but actually sometimes, unfortunately, this is there. It is there that they sometimes they are their side their side business is not good. Side business is smoking and drinking. See? It's like this is example of given of the follower of Lord Shiva, right? Sometimes follower of the Lord Shiva, they drink ganja because they think, well, Shiva is drinking ganja. Shiva is smoking ganja. So we also smoke. Imitation. This is imitation. But then at the same time, why don't you just drink the poison which is Lord Shiva drank when there was a churning of the ocean between the demigods and demons, right? And the Mandira mountain, churning Mandira mountain, and the first thing came out was the poison. And demigods and their demons were afraid because this poison was going to spread on the whole planet, whole universe, and all living entities will die. Right? So they went to have they approach Lord. So what should we do? The Lord said, go to Lord Shiva. Right? And Lord Shiva drank. Lord Shiva accepted. He's Mahajan. He's Mahadev. So he's asking Parvati, should I drink this poison? Imagine asking your wife that you ask your wife, should I drink this poison? His wife is gonna say yes. She's gonna say yes. Of course not. She's gonna say no. But here Parvati is saying yes. Yeah, go drink poison. Huh? Why? Because Parvati knew that my husband will able to go along. Go. He will be able to. He will know what to do. Right. He will able to he will be able to, even drink poison, he will be able to survive. It means what I'm saying, what is meaning is that, you see. And he drank that poison, and that's why he has the lines on throat, and that's why he's called Nilakant. So now the persons who are his followers sometimes imitate to him. But when we tell them to, why don't you go drink poison? If you are really a follower of Lord Shiva, then you can have a ganja. First drink the poison. They cannot do it. So this is the imitation. It's not real. And what happens when the person is imitating, their heart is not melted. Still, it's a stone-hearted heart, stone heart. And that's what here in a purport is Bhaktivinoda Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning about that. The person Sura imitator, he says, is a stone-hearted man, he said. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur accuses the imitators of being stone-hearted men. They are sometimes even affected by the reflection of such transcendental symptoms. Yet, if they still do not give up the forbidden habits, then they are hopeless cases for transcendental realization. They're not going to go back to God here. So we wanna follow in the footsteps. There is a anusaran, not anukaran, and we have to be very careful to not fall into that trap of anukaran. Another lecture Srila Prabhupada gave in this regard, and in 1969 he gave the lecture on this, on the appearance of Lord Narasimha Lord Narasimha Chaturdasi. In 1969 in Boston, he gave a lecture. And he said here, Prahlad Maharaj is symbolic representation of Vaishnava. So try not to imitate, but follow. Don't try to imitate. Oh, Prahlad Maharaj was put in the, his father, Hiranyakashipu, had given so much trouble to Prahlad Maharaj, right? Throwing from the hill, top of the mountain, right? He putting in the room where is all the snakes are there. Huh? Ask him to drink the poison. Put him in the throw him in the boiling oil. So, and he did it. He did it. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here that, oh, Prahlad Maharaj was thrown into the boiling oil. Let me try. Fall into boiling oil. No, he said, this is imitation. Don't try even to do that, he said. Srila Prabhupada, then everybody started to laugh. He said, just first of all, you become like Prahlad Maharaj. Then that will be possible. Don't try to make an experiment. That is not good. Follow, try to follow. But then he said, the same Prahlad Maharaj said, Mahajan and Gatasya Pantasla. Mahajan, great personalities, what they have done, you cannot imitate them. You have to follow them. You have to follow the instruction of the Krishna or his representative. But you cannot imitate them. Then you will fall down. Anusaran, not Anukaran. Anukaran means imitation, but Anusaran, follow. So what Prahlad Maharaj did, that we have to follow his example. His example was that even though he was tortured by his father in so many times, but he never forgot Krishna. That's what we have to. Never forgot Krishna. He always remembered Krishna, even all the difficulties. That's what we have to follow. He said that his example was that in spite of continuous torturing by his father, he never forgot Krishna. This we have to follow. In spite of all kinds of conveniences and torture by the atheist class of man, we shall never forget Krishna consciousness. And this is important because when we take up the process of Krishna consciousness, there will be always inconveniences. Inconveniences of our own mind will inconvenience you, giving inconveniences to us. Our mind will give trouble to us, right? Then our relatives, our friends, they also sometimes will cause inconvenience. When you take a bhakti, here Prahlad Maharaj, his own father was giving him He's telling his father to chant Hare Krishna, right? Then his father Hiranyakashipu asked, "What did you learn in the school today?" To Prahlad. And what Prahlad said? Prahlad said, "Father, he wouldn't call to his father, my father. He would say, oh, best of the demons." He would call his father, "Oh, best of the demon." What I learned is the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Arjnam Dasam, Sakyamat. To who? Krishna. And for Hiranyakashipu, Krishna is his, Vishnu is his enemy. And here his father is talking about Vishnu, remembering Vishnu, chanting Vishnu, chanting glories of Vishnu. So, but the point was, and that's why when the Hiranyakashipu gives so much trouble to Prahlad Maharaj did not forget Krishna. He always remembered Krishna. So that's the point here. He's saying here, in spite of all kinds of inconveniences, torture, that is class of man, we shall never forget Krishna consciousness. This is important for us. Always remember Krishna, always trust Krishna, always have a faith in Krishna, and Krishna will protect us. It's a very high stage, but we are on a path. We have already purchased a ticket of going back to Godhead, right? We have already purchased a ticket. Now it's matter of time. Now it's matter of just going step by step by step by step. We will be there. If not in this life, next life, we will be there. That is sure. It is guaranteed. But we have to just keep following. So that's what here is meant. There are many examples, he said. Just like Srila Prabhupada is giving an example of Jesus Christ. He said, Lord Jesus Christ, he was tortured. So he was crucified, but he never agreed that there is no God. This is so that should be our motto. This is following. Either you be and then he said whether you are Christian or Jew, doesn't matter. So these are the few points, are important points are mentioned in this about Anusaran and Anukaran. Anukaran means the imitation, and Anusaran means the following the footsteps of the previous acharyas, of the Mahajan. Okay, so we still have some few minutes are left. If there's any question, any comments, anything to add, anything to subtract, please.
Thank you so much. Anybody have a question, please unmute yourself and check on Facebook.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Mataji.
I was just wondering, as you were speaking about, following versus imitating. Mm-hmm. So it almost seems like the biggest obstacle to following is the ego, right? The ego wants to imitate because the ego wants to become that person rather than become a follower of that person. And I was just thinking, is this also a part of the Anarth Nivritti stage, or is it, or is it our faith, or what is it that really, because inherently, even though we understand the philosophy and we know that we have to follow rather than imitate, the tendency is there.
Yeah, it is there. It is there. Just like my son Vishwambar, when he was little boy usually imitate. When I would sit down to chant my Gayatri, he would also have a thread in his neck, and he would also sit down and chant the Gayatri like he was doing that. Now, of course, children to imitate is okay, because ultimately they will come to understand that what to do, how to follow it, you see. But as we grow older, we try to imitate other persons, then we know that it's not going to help. It's not going to help me, because that imitation is not going to change my heart. It's not going to change my heart. Change in heart will come when I'm going to actually following the previous acharya, because previous acharya has laid down the path. Their heart is changed. Their heart is already changed. So if we following them and they are giving us instructions, then if you follow them, then of course our heart will also change. And main thing change. What we are taking up Krishna consciousness for what? Huh? First to realize, first thing that I'm not this body. Ego means the false ego. There's true ego and false ego. And false ego is that I'm this body. And because of that false ego, I'm this body, means I wanna imitate someone. Actually, I have to follow. In the real path, I have to follow. See? But because of I'm not following, I'm trying to imitate. Isn't it? I mean, I tell you myself, before I joined to Hare Krishna, I mean, I saw the many Indian films and all that, and tendency was there to be young man, young boy. Tendency was to be there, follow Rajkumar or Raj Kapoor or whoever the actors were there, and you wear the dress like they were wearing the dress. You see them in the movies, and they are wearing the dress. So you want to wear the dress like them, and imitate, walk like them, and all this imitation. Am I that person reality? No. You see? So that is imitation. And the spiritual life, we bring the same imitation we bring in the spiritual life sometimes. And that's where we have to be very careful. So we try to satisfy the false ego. That's what it is. See? You see, but in reality is that if I follow in the path, because ultimately I want to change, I want to have a change in my heart, isn't it? I take up devotional service and I want to have change in my heart. I don't want to be just prakriti sahajas and keep following, because ultimately it's not going to take me anywhere anyhow. And still, and on top of that, I will not able to give up my habits. Mm-hmm. We have sometimes, unfortunately, come with the habits from the previous lives, isn't it? And I will not able to give up those habits and continue. I will actually go. I will not actually progress. Actually, I will go in the other way, downward. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and I was also wondering, following is difficult because following also means that you have to study the philosophy. You have to work hard to follow. It's not easy. So I guess that's why we have the tendency to imitate, because it's easy, and this is hard.
Yeah, but see, that's true. But Mataji, the point is that we don't want to follow. We follow according to our level.
Okay.
See, according to where I am at. If I'm at the 8 rounds, let's say I'm giving you an example, and I think I'm going to chant, 24 or 30 rounds or 64. Wait a minute. Let me just improve my 8 rounds. I'm at that level. Let me improve my 8 rounds and then gradually go up. But if I what the problem sometimes are, we put a goal very high in our spiritual life also. I try to put a high goal. See? Let's say example is I need 7 hours sleep. Now, Srila Prabhupada says 6 hours, minimum 6 hours sleep is good. But I am brought up with that 7 hours sleep. So if I try to imitate and I try to put myself, no, I'm gonna get up for Mangal Arati. I went to bed at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go for Mangal. It's nice idea. Yes, you should go. But wait a minute. First of all, if I'm on that level, then I have to schedule myself in such a way that I go to bed early and get up early and enough rest, according to my level. Now, some devotees can sleep 4.5 hours, 5 hours, and they are up and they are very happy, and they are on some higher platform. I don't know. But if I try to imitate them, what's going to happen? During daytime, I will not able to do what I'm supposed to do the things. isn't it? So everybody individual has to see their capacity, their level, and follow that level. And with the goal understanding that I should go up. That's the point. Ultimately, I want to go up, but I don't want to jump on it and just imitate others with they are trying to do. I hope that.
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other question?
Just comment. Sometimes even I'm not even looking at Haridas Thakur or Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We are not even at that level. Sometimes we may try to imitate some of the devotees within the
Yes.
around you. Even probably that also sometimes I feel hurts because you give a wonderful answer. Limitation. We don't see. Hey, I cannot do it, but I want to do it. Yes, intention is good. But I totally agree with your point. We don't draw a line what I can do versus what that person is doing.
See, another thing is that we all no comparison. Problem is we are trying to compare ourselves. You see, everybody is given the intelligence. Everybody is given some ability, some good quality which we can use. You see, and that is the difference between the Brajvasi's mood, Braj mood, and our mood in the material world. In the Braj mood, if the cow is giving the milk, and peacock is given the example, peacock is giving dancing with spreading all the feather. Peacock is not thinking of the cow that cow is giving milk, I'm not giving milk. Or the cow is not thinking that the peacock is making Krishna happy by dancing, by spreading the feather, and I'm not able to dance. The problem with us in material world is we try to compare ourselves with others. You see, and this is what we are brought up from the childhood, isn't it? Competition, isn't it? From the if my child doesn't get a good grade, my child gets 75%, and the neighbor child get in the same school in the same class got 85%. Mother will right away say, "Oh, he got 85. Why didn't you get 85? You should get 90." Isn't it? And mother will try to have his son work like anything to beat that neighbor child with 85 to get 90 or 95. So from the childhood we are brought up like that, competition. But instead of mother would say, "Oh, you should be happy that look, you got 75 and he got 85. It's good. You should be so happy that he got 85%." And you should go and tell him, "Oh, thank you." And that is the difference in the spiritual life and the material life. In the spiritual life, if someone is doing something nice service, we glorify him. That Prabhu, you are doing good service. You are chanting nicely. You are cooking nicely, Prabhu. You are dressing deity nicely. You are doing book distribution nicely. But what we try to do, we try to pull him down or pull her down. This is the nature of material world. So we bring those anarthas here in the spiritual life and we act like that. But that doesn't help us in the spiritual world. There is no question of comparison. It is because we all individual have a loving relationship with Krishna. Right? We all individual loving relationship with Krishna. And Krishna is going to work with you as you are reciprocating with Krishna. Yathamam prapadyante tamsana bhajamya. So we just follow. We just go on with our devotions. And other people who are, and then we work with them, cooperate with them. And there's Prabhu is to making good at cooking. Fine. I'm good at something else. I will do that. Right? That's what. Any other question? Any comments?
I think Aditya Prabhu just posted a comment for your wonderful class. Prabhu, he's not able to speak, but I think he's saying thankful for your wonderful class.
Thank you, Kishori Priya Mataji, for asking nice questions. We need questions that helps to broaden the perspectives.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think that's pretty
Hare
much it
Krishna.
for today.
Okay. Thank
Once
you.
again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Looking
you for
forward to
allowing.
next month. Appreciate your guidance and wonderful class for us. We'll end the class here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for again engaging me in this service. Hare Krishna.